What's up, everybody? Welcome to Small Man Podcast. Today, I have the honor of interviewing my good friend Rob from UFC. How are you doing today, Rob?
I'm doing great. I'm very thankful for this opportunity to give me to talk in this interview. Thanks, Robin. Appreciate it, brother.
Hey, anytime, bro.
Yeah.
You're a good guy. I gotta get you on the podcast, bro. Why don't we start off by where you train and what color belt you are?
I train at UC Waikele and I'm a black belt. I'm one of the instructors there for the 5 a.m. morning class. And we primarily just train in the morning. We start at 5 a.m. and go about 6:30. We have classes on Tuesday and Thursday at 5 a.m. And on those other days, we train at different places and we kind of just keep track of that. We just train in other places, not so much a formal class, but we all just train together. So all the early dads and all the people who have to, maybe have soccer, they have to go to soccer practice or hula or take their kids to some kind of ballet. Uh, we usually train in the morning. The class and all the people that we train with is designed for someone who was super busy at the after work. So we just train in the morning so to be able to keep up our jiu-jitsu. So that's kind of me. I'm an instructor. I've been doing it about 5.5, going on 6 years. And I've been at Waikele primarily the whole time as an instructor. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to step me back to those early days, when you first started the program? Like,
Yeah.
I know that even like
Yeah.
when we started teaching, we had like 5 people showing up, bro. You want to talk about those early days?
Yeah, I actually remember seeing you long time ago when you first started coming. I would come at night once in a while, and I saw you with Carter, and Carter was young. He was a young kid back then. And I remember seeing you, and I talked to you, and it was so awesome that you mentioned that you did this. I asked you, why are you doing this? He said, well, I'm doing this so I also connect with my son. And I thought that was a wonderful thing, to do something with your son that you can continue to do and just have that bond. And you have a stronger bond when you do something like jujitsu, out of all the things, it's such a good sport to do. And for you to do that, and I thought, like, wow, I wish I could do that with my daughter, but my daughter was not really into jujitsu in that time, But going back to your question from long time ago, I first started jujitsu from my brother. He was into it. He was training at calves, and he was all into it. So I really wanted to do it. It was like a big thing of me to try this thing jujitsu that he was doing. He was tapping to some MMA fighting, and before he got injured, and he would always talk about it. And my brother-in-law at the time, he was doing it too, and he was training at calves. It was like a big thing, but I never could train. I never could go and train just because my daughter was so involved. She had swimming, she had homework, she had all these things. So I never could train after school. And they would always ask me. I'll go to these parties. Back in the day, Joe Jordan, the guy Roots, he was my brother-in-law from my ex-wife, and he would always be with his friends, and they'd always be training. And next thing you know, I got introduced to calves, and it was something where I was like, wow, someday I really want to train. I really want to, but I never had opportunity to. It was like always and all my life I played sports. So then when the UFC Waikele came out, they just started up. I went in just to I don't even know, it wasn't even the gym. It was like another office room where they're just signing in people. I went there just to talk and see what kind of gym it was. And they showed me that there's jujitsu early in the morning, 5 days a week at 5 a.m. And I was like, oh shoot, this might be something I want to try just because I never got to train at noon at night. So I decided, yeah, go ahead. I signed up. I was like the first 5 a.m. that ever started at Waikele. I went in and I signed up, and I never told my brother. After he was helping me a bit on the side, but I never told my brother-in-law. I never told anybody. I was just starting this journey in jiu-jitsu. And when I got there, they promoted that you're going to be trained by BJ Penn's brother or J Penn. So I'm saying it's the same guy, yeah? BJ Penn, J Penn. And it was like the first day, the first week actually, it was like a whole bunch of white belts in the octagon. We had like 30 to 40 white belts in the octagon. It was crazy. And there's not like one blue belt. The only other belt color was Jay, and he was black. And when you get a whole
Wow.
bunch of white belts and they're just all going 100% cranking arms and hurting people. And Jay was kind of rough back then when he taught. He was kind of teaching some dirty stuff here and there. He kind of liked the little scrappiness, and he would let us kind of scrap here and there. And I remember coming out of every class of this as a white belt, and I was really bust up. It had my neck was hurt, I had burn bar, um, burn marks on my neck, it looked like hickeys. And I always wondering, like, how long can I do this jujitsu? Like almost every day, I'm hurting. I'm a bust. I'm physically just exhausted after each one because I didn't know how to roll. And none of us knew how to roll. We were just going at it for like 30 minutes when you had the open mat and just trying to kill each other. Nobody had no technique. Everybody was doing things that we probably learned that day or we saw on TV. And, nobody had any thought of personal safety or even taking care of other people. But that was like the early days of Jiu-Jitsu White Kelly. It was so many people and there's no room. And we just kept
Oh
on doing
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And they would blast that music so loud. So Jay had to yell because, they wanted to promote like a hip hop kind of culture in the gym. So Jay was trying to instruct and yelling sometimes, but he was my first instructor, formal instructor besides my brother, and, he was just yelling the whole time, and it was kind of a crazy time. Then eventually, I stuck with it. I've stayed. I came every day. I got hooked. You know that they say that there's that jujitsu, you become hooked on it, and I was absolutely hooked. Even though I was, my body was getting busted up. So I'm a teacher, so on my summers, I would go twice a day. I'll train twice a day each time, or even sometimes if I had time, I'll come back at night and I'll train at night once in a while if I was a free time, whatever it may be. And I got really hooked on jiu-jitsu at that time. But the I don't want to give you the history of the 5 a.m. class, but eventually the 5 a.m. class, we started off with like 35 to 40, and then it just started to dwindle down all the way as the years passed by, maybe about 2 or 3 years after, it went down to about three people, four people
Mm.
coming to Jiu-Jitsu with Kelly in the morning at 5 a.m. And then at that point, they canceled a class. They canceled, if I remember correctly, they canceled Tuesday, Thursday. So now we had three classes. And then we had a problem. Our 5 a.m. class, I wouldn't have been able to train after that. Then Jay came up to me because we hardly had any. Sometimes it was just me and Jay. And that was the only time. We had like personal
Oh,
instruction, nobody was coming. Then Jay came up to me and he talked to me on the side and he said, "Hey, if we don't get more people in this class, we're gonna close it." So then I got worried and I was like, "Okay, this is the problem. I'm now not gonna have no time to train." And back then, the 5 a.m. classes were known as like nobody wanted to go because it's known as, I don't know, it's nuts. Who trains at that early? Just saying
yep.
that time. Nobody wants to train that early. I guess all the people who were going at night, at UFC, you started to come at that time. You're coming at
Right.
night and nobody was coming. I like my two best friends were about it. That's it. And we're struggling. So that's why when he told me we were gonna close that class, I had to change up everything. So what I did was, I know I'm talking long, but I give you no whole history. But
Good,
I
good.
changed it. I started going nights, and me and my best friend Jeff, we had this idea that maybe we start doing this open mat and we start coordinating it and doing open mat on the weekend and try to get people to come on the weekend and train with us early in the morning. Just start up an open mat and then try to convince them to come to the morning class. So I was going at night, talking to people after I roll, and then try to convince them. It's pretty much like recruiting. Recruit them to come train with us at 5 a.m. in the morning. Everybody's like, "What? You're not so early. I don't even want to do that before work." But then we started an open mat and we did it on sometimes Saturday. We switched we did on Sunday, then we switched to Saturday. That is when it was football season. But we started that every weekend. And we first started off with just like three people, an open mat, and we just come together. Then we would meet other people. We'd tell them, "Hey, come train with us on Sundays." Then it got really big. It got so big that we had eventually averaged about 20 to 25 people coming
Oh,
just to train, and some of these people are starting to come. I didn't even know who they were. They're coming from other gyms and they're saying, "Hey, I heard
ah,
you guys train in the morning." at this time as an open mat. And it wasn't even known as a formal open mat. We just ran a text right after we gathered up all these people, and I would text everybody. We're training at this time. Come on, text me back if you're coming, just so I know who is coming. And then more and more people would come, and I got to meet a lot of people from other gyms. And when we did something like that, it really helped because now the 5 a.m. class started to build. More people that started
Mm,
coming, more people. We started making really good friends and rebuilding those relationships. And then all of a sudden it continued and it got really big. Then COVID happened and we had to shut it down after. And then, yeah, as you know, a lot of things happened after that.
yeah.
Yeah. But that's the issue of the five. And the cool thing is, after COVID, we brought it back. And I tried it as now that I'm the coach for that class, because they was gonna close it again after COVID, but I decided to coach so that way I keep the 5 a.m. class. So the guys are really good. I try to put a hands-off approach and make them more of the leader. So they started a WhatsApp, and in the WhatsApp, it shows the times that everybody's training and where we're gonna go to train open mat and who's gonna
Uh,
come, and it's done well, especially because we only have a Tuesday and Thursday class, but we train almost you can train almost every day, find somebody to train with at that time at 5 a.m., and it's nice because Niza came up to me, told me one time at Naga, he said, "Hey, I have a 5 a.m." And I said, "Oh, okay." Then somebody told me they had another 5 a.m., but it's like a 6. They call it Dawn Patrol at Roots. I was like, "Oh." So it's kind of cool, this thing that we did just to keep the 5 a.m. class and start this open mat to make sure we have all these people to train with. It continues. And now in my class, we average like about 20 people each time. We never got down to three anymore. And it was kind of scary. It was kind of scary. Yeah.
yeah. It.
But
I
that's
mean,
the
it's like
history of the 5 a.m. class. And
that's
all the,
awesome.
yeah. And the clientele that we have, we're all dads. We have to go to work right after, so we train in the morning, go straight, and then after that, go straight to work, shower, and just go straight to work. And then after, they do whatever, do homework. And I kind of promote that with, especially my class, because you know it would be hard if you're leaving your wife and let her watch the kids, do the homework, have her
Hmm.
make dinner. Then
Hmm.
you coming back at like 9:30, training like 3 times a week. I don't really promote that. In my opinion, you might put yourself into trouble with your marriage, or especially watching a parenting. That might be a problem. So for us, it really works out. But the hard part is you got to wake up early and get there. Yeah, you just got to get there early. Like, yeah, like I'm wiping mats at like 4 a.m. sometimes just so it dries. Yeah, it's
I know
early.
that as I'm retired, right? I told a few people I want to try to come to Rob's class, but man, that 5 a.m. wake up call comes quick, man. but but you're definitely feeling a niche for people that, like you said, have families, have commitments during the day and in the evenings, that if you didn't have that opportunity for them, they wouldn't be doing
Yeah,
jujitsu. So that's super awesome, man. Yeah, I know.
yeah.
Like you
The
mentioned, there's other schools are doing it as well.
the jujitsu journey is just, if you're not a professional, understanding you're like a hobbyist or anything, is to continue the journey. You just have to like manage it with life. And there's so many things, variables that affects the jujitsu journey. There could be kids, there could be your work schedule or injuries, or just even your kids extracurricular activities that you have to take them to. There's so many different things, or even just waking up. So going that early, it helps it to keep stable, something that's stable. But the only thing is you got to sacrifice sleep. It's the hard part. So sometimes I get tired like at 9 or like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, or even on the way home from work at like 3:34. I'm just like beat because you're waking up so early at that time. But that's the sacrifice you're gonna continue to
Right.
make, with the jiu-jitsu journey.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. I think did somebody said that like Aaron comes to your class, works out a little bit, and goes home and takes a nap. Yeah.
Yeah. They've been yeah, he's retired, that's why. So, yeah, we got the retirees too. They're pretty cool because nowadays I've been realizing they're lifting weights after our class. So they continue the workout, then they go home. So they've been hanging out and lifting weights. And that's one thing about
But
jujitsu too is you building a community. I'm meeting all these wonderful people I would have never met in any other avenue. I'm meeting people from different careers. I'm meeting people in different ages, from 18 or even younger, all the way to however old. We have a good, maybe about 5 people in our class that are 50-year-olds or plus, they're getting even mid 50s. I'm 52. So we're all kind of older generation, and we have the younger people that we train with, and we're all over the place. Some retired, some in the middle of the work, some military, some non-military. It's wonderful, and that's the great part about jujitsu. You all come together and you build a bond of friendship, and you develop these relationships with people you wouldn't have no other time of meeting in a situation like this. So that's the great part about jujitsu too. You get to meet other people like that.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. When you were younger, maybe high school and earlier, did you participate in any sort of athletics?
Yeah, I actually did a lot. I was very active. I was I played a lot of football. I tapped into a little baseball. I did everything. Basketball was a big thing. I played everything that you can imagine. So sports was a very big part of my life. But one of the thing also was a big part is as I was growing up, I had an older brother, and we used to wrestle all the time. And he was a lot older than me. He's like 6 years older than me, and we would just always wrestle each time, no matter what. And even if it was WWF, we'd try some of the moves, but wrestling, we put two beds together as a kid, if I remember. And we would always wrestle. And that was like a big thing. So sometimes when I'm doing this, it puts me a connection, makes me feel as though I'm still a little kid again. I'm still wrestling with my older brother. And it's something that I was doing ever since a little kid and growing up until, we moved out and everything. But it's pretty cool. It's almost like I'm still doing something that I did as a child, even though I
That's
played
awesome.
sports like that. Yeah. That's another thing too. I'm keeping this sports alive, A lot of times when you get older, like 30s or 40s, you give it to your kids and you don't do nothing. And
Yeah.
then you don't participate in anything. I'm just a couch potato that watches TV and watch it. But now I'm participating in doing something like that, keeping the active competitive drive around, and that's pretty cool. So my brother still trains. He's still going at it. He's like about, I don't even know how old is he. He might be like 57, 56, but he's still going at it. And I'm very proud that he keeps on doing it. He still goes to Worlds. He's planning to go on this next one
Nice.
to compete, and it's it's crazy. I don't know, especially at our age. He's still going at. He still trains. He's still dieting and all this, but it's wonderful. That's his thing. He likes to compete and he likes to get in there.
Mm.
Yeah. So I went to one of his worlds, and that was nice. I got to see the whole scenario and cheer him on. But he's gonna go in this next one. I think it's in September, so in Vegas.
What did your brother train at?
Well, he used to train at Cavs, and I guess some all this stuff happened, and he trains in their garage now.
Oh, okay.
They have a name that I forget the name. I think it's like Free World or something like that. And a lot of the black belts from Cavs, they all train with him from back in the day. They all train in his garage. So a lot of those
Oh,
guys go
wow.
there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Cool. That's cool.
yeah, so he's still keeping the dream alive. I don't know how long we can do it, but he has,
Hey,
this dream too. He has this jujitsu journey, and a lot of people don't know that there's a lot of injuries that we have to deal with, and there's the recovery part, but there could be surgeries, and I have so many injuries. I'm still trying to manage things, and he has a lot of injuries too, and that's the hard part about this journey that a lot of people don't speak about is that it's fun. You keep active, you get into great shape, but there are things that can happen. You can really damage your body up if you don't take care of it, or even freak accidents can happen. Yeah.
you're right. You're
Yeah.
right.
That's why you're telling me earlier. I remember you telling me about all the things you do for recovery. Oh, it's so important. It helps,
Recoveries.
preventing injuries too. You know, That's such a big part of it, getting all the things. And if you talk to somebody who's been doing it a long time, they'll always say stuff like, I have an ice bath. I have a sauna. They have so many things, you know. They have all this special, not just a regular foam roller. They got all these other things. I have that too that I do. They have a massage chair. You know, doing all
Yeah,
these things just so your body to recover because our body gets really damaged and it breaks down a lot. Yeah.
you're right. You're right. And I think the sooner that people get on that recovery path, I mean, even at 20s, you could start some sort of recovery routine. It's going to help you to stick it out. I mean, shoot, if your body's messed up at 25, how are you going to make it to my age in jiu-jitsu? You're going to stop. Your body just cannot keep up. Yeah.
I agree. I always was wondering, like, if I saw your questions, like, what if you had started jujitsu when you were younger? I started in my late 30s, and I really thought about that question you proposed on that paper you showed me. I don't know if I would want to start younger, because if I would have started younger, I would still be doing. I can't imagine how bad my body would be at that point.
Mm,
You know, I don't know how I would be able to manage it. I definitely would have to slow down on the rounds, or I would have to come back with a complete recovery system, or just train smarter, because that would be a difficult task to do, to keep on going for like 30 years of jiu-jitsu and just avoid injuries, you know.
yeah. Especially when you're younger, you have a slightly different mindset, right? Not like, oh, I gotta go work tomorrow, or what happens 2 months from now when after I get hurt, right? It's just like just go hard today, and then whatever happens tomorrow happens, right?
100%. Oh, I agree. 100%. Yeah.
So you've been training what close is it close to 20 years?
Me? No, no,
No,
definitely not.
10 years?
No, I started about when I was about 36. I was going 36 and going 37. I'm 50 now. So about 13, 14
13
years around
years?
there.
Okay.
But in the beginning,
Okay.
it was just, I wasn't as consistent in class. I was just learning
Mm,
here and there. So I knew
mm.
something when I went to class. It wasn't like I didn't know anything, you know? So,
When did the light bulb kind of tick like, okay, I think I kind of understand this jujitsu thing a little bit better now.
mm, I don't know. There's always a new light bulb. I always find. I don't know. Every year, every month, I'm still learning. I'm still
Hmm.
learning. I one thing that I do is I work on certain positions or certain areas, and I really work on it. So, like long time ago, when I was like a blue belt, I worked half guard, and I worked on it for like a half a 6 months to a whole year, and I just did half guard, half guard, half guard. I do mount defense, and I would just do that for a long time, and I'm still doing that still to this day, trying and especially because the game keeps on changing each
Yeah.
time, new things come out. But I like to take a position and really milk that position for like maybe even close to 8 months to a year. Just keep on doing it, keep on working on it. So lately I've been playing around with this Kesugetame and just trying all different ways to enter in it and try this, try that, and if they do this, I'm gonna do that, and I just keep on trying it, and I like that, and I that's the way I think it helps me to learn. It's more of a long term journey. I'm not
Mm,
trying to win this round or that. I'm trying to learn more. So in terms of the light bulb, to answer your question, I always believe that there's always a light bulb. There's always a light bulb that's gonna click. Okay, I don't know this spot. I got to get to this. I think about maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I was a brown. I just turned. I'd say about 5 years ago, I turned brown belt. My friend Bronson, he knee barred me. I was like, oh shit, I'm not used to knee bars. So after that, I went into like this knee bar, studying everything about knee bars. I practiced knee bars. I was even practicing on people they weren't even at belt to learn knee bars, but just to practice, just to
get the
learn. So
entries.
I know his entries and I know the entries. Not like I'm a big knee bar person, but so by me practicing and doing, I'll know the entries. I know where they're going and where they're at, and just to get the feel of that. And that's kind of how I do my jiu-jitsu game. And I adjust and I keep on working on something until the point I feel comfortable with it. Then I'll try something else after. Things that I feel maybe is my weakness or something maybe I really want to try just because it looks pretty cool or I think it'll be help out my game. And I do that a lot. But right now it's this Kessiga. I've been doing about 6 months right now, Kessiga Tommy.
Mm.
All these different types of entries. You know, that's kind of how like how I do my game. So in terms of light bulb, I always find there's always a new light bulb. There's so many things to learn. The game keeps on changing, and I can never ever say that. Oh, I understand jujitsu. No, there's so many things.
There's a
That the
lot.
jujitsu game's different from no gi to gi. It's a complete different game. So if you do both, there's a lot of light bulbs you gotta learn.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
How how do you or where do you source your information from? Like with your techniques and how do you get to different ideas?
Yeah, well, what I do is I'm a big online junkie. I don't really, especially because you can monitor what you see. When you're little, you just watch, certain TV shows, and that's, your discovery to the world. You had, channel 2, channel 4, channel 6, and that's pretty much your discovery. Now you can monitor everything that you watch. So I hate to say it, but I try not to be too addicted to it, but I watch jiu-jitsu a lot. And
Mm.
I even at one point I was buying a whole bunch of videos and I would, source out all these videos, and I stopped doing that. I found another website I could get a whole bunch of videos for free. But I I take everything online, I get everything and I kind of research a hell of a lot. Little bit sometimes to the point where I'm watching stuff online. I already seen those things, or some people talk to me about a certain move or a certain video that they saw. It's like I already saw it already, just because that's kind of a that's what I do during my day. I don't really watch TV. I watch jiu-jitsu, or I watch something about the Detroit Lions, and that's about it. That's all I like. I don't really watch no other shows or Netflix or anything. And that's all I pretty much do. And that's why my I don't think my I have a baby daughter, and she's 4 years ago, five going to 5. Jiu-jitsu is all over this house. I have jiu-jitsu mats in the living room. We have a doll right here. We have jiu-jitsu mats outside. It's always on the TV. So she's kind of sick of it. Every time I bring it up, like, hey, let's start jiu-jitsu and start. She's like, I don't want to. It's so much around us everywhere. The keys are hanging up over here. And so I'm not sure she likes that culture. It's always on TV. She always wants to change the channel, because we watch it on YouTube. But so I'm kind of obsessed with it in that sense. So some of the things I have a hard time like remembering dates of my daughter's birthday or certain things, but I can for just jujitsu, I can remember like a role with I remember the role with you that I did back when COVID opened. I can remember the role that happened. I just have that memory with jujitsu. But if you ask like certain things, like my daughter was like, Dad, when's my birthday? How old am I? And some of my kids can't figure that out. I'm like, oh shoot, let me look that up. Or she'll ask, you remember my friend? And I forget her friend's name. I only remember one of her friends' names. And she would always introduce me. But if you asked me some kind of role that happened, like 12 years ago, and that I got submitted, I remember the exact role, the exact entry. And I could, I don't know. My brain
That's
works like that. Yeah. And maybe it
so
helps, but I don't know if it's like good information. Maybe I should remember certain dates that I should remember. The other day, my I was going to my mom. I forgot my mom's birthday. Shoot, and I had to call like 2 days later. I'm so sorry. It was your birthday the other day. I apologize. Yeah, but I do remember right after COVID, I was rolling with you. I remember the guard you're pulling and everything when you're holding the grips that you did at half guard from the bottom half. Yeah, yeah.
that
That's I guess
yeah,
when you love jujitsu, that's what you do,
it's
yeah,
true.
many
It's
states.
very true.
Yeah,
It's so true. So when you're
yeah.
when you're online and you're watching stuff, is there people that you gravitate towards, or you're just searching for specific type of information and just look at whoever's talking about it?
No, no, no. I just don't look at it. Well, if it pops up on my feed, I'll watch it, something, but I'm usually very direct on what I'm looking at, what I'm into is certain people. I'm a big butterfly player because I have a big okole and it helps me. That's kind of my body type. I can move on my butt real well. So, long time ago, I was all about Marcelo Garcia. I watched everything about
Mm.
Marcelo Garcia, and that was cool. I got to meet him at Naga. Then
Oh,
the other when Adam Mordinsky came up
Adam.
long time ago as a
Yep.
brown belt, I was watching him before he even. before he even started blowing up, I was watching him as a brown belt.
Mm.
I got all his tapes. I watched all his DVDs on the lazy butterfly guard. I was using that a lot. Then I combined it with spider, but a lot of the things that I do is based up my base is butterfly. I always go back to butterfly. But I do other things, but I do other things from De La Riva, Spider, Reverse De La Riva, but it all goes back to my base. Everything to go back to Butterfly. And I play Butterfly Guard a lot. So when I go on videos and I watch, it's a lot of the things I watch is based upon what I'm trying to do in my game to help improve my game. So those if there's a good butterfly player or a good half guard player if I'm working a half guard, I'll look that up. You know, that's kind of what I did at that part. I think I remember when I first started, I was like a blue belt and I was obsessed with half guard. I got everything off Eddie Bravo in this lockdown. I started
Mm.
buying the books and everything. I was doing the electric chair. I was doing all these kinds of things with the lockdown. Then it's not my game now, but that's kind of how the direction I choose. I find something, then I get all the resources of what I'm trying to do. I find kind of a move that I'm trying or position, and I get all the resources and I put it all together, to see what's realistic. And long time ago, one of the guys I used to train, his name was Frank. He was part of the UFC back then, and he was just killing everybody. He was he killed everybody back in the day. And I had no chance versus this guy. And he told me one of the best ways to watch videos. And he would always tell me, because there's so much stuff online, he'd always tell me that if you watch what the black belts do in at worlds or any tournaments, if the black belts do it to other black belts, that's kind of a really good move, to a higher percentage move for you to do, instead of maybe going for some low percentage move, to study. Maybe those low percentage moves help here and there. You might lose position, you might put yourself in a bad spot, but that's what the cool part about it, to get into a high position move and just to execute from there. And you can kind of discover that when you watch videos, if you see a lot of the black belts doing it to other black belts, because the black belts will block everything. If they can do it to
Mm.
them, it's an effective move that you can use with high efficiency. You know. I'll tell you a quick story. I just was just talking about this to my friend the other day. I was working at Naga this past Naga. I was on the table. They put me on scoreboard, and there wasn't a lot of the submissions, whether it was the kids, gi or no gi, the adults, kid. A lot of the submissions were just armbar and triangle. I was like coming up every time, armbar, triangle. Maybe one ankle lock here and there or whatever it may be, but most majority was armbar triangles. But then you watch worlds or anything. A lot of the pros, especially with gi, is like, take the back, cross collar, take the back, cross collar. 80% of them take the back, cross collar, cross collar. I thought that was so interesting that, the pros are all about taking the back cross collar, all the way to the
Mm.
finals. Then, Naga, I didn't see that much. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why that is or whatever it may be. That was a big
It's
thing too.
interesting. I was
Yeah.
just gonna say for people that don't know you but recognize you, you're pretty much at every Naga, whether it's the weigh-in or at one of the tables. We
Yeah,
always
yeah.
see you there.
Yeah. I've been working for them for like 10 years or so.
Yeah,
Yeah. Doing all the
that
odds and ends to try. It's definitely interesting.
that's
Yeah.
my one
They're
time.
good
That's my
people. They're good people.
1 or 2 times a year that I guarantee I get to come see you and talk to you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a couple of times he put the weigh in by the men's bathroom, and I gotta sit over there. And they would come back and forth, and sometimes people don't even want to pass me because they know they went back to like 3 times, and they keep on saying hi to me. I'm like, "Hey." But it's good.
That's
I
funny.
get to see people I haven't seen in years. So the one time they keep on putting me security. I hate doing that. Oh, I don't want to tell my boss that, but I just don't like security because I don't like to. If I have to like, hey, don't do this. I don't want to scold anyone. I don't want to be that
You
guy. Like, hey, you can't be here.
you
But I don't like
you
to
know
do that. I'm gonna
you
be
know,
more
like,
of a
be like,
helpful person.
be like that lady that stands at the front
Yeah,
that gets all over everybody's case. Oh, man, I'm afraid of that lady.
yeah, yeah. She's actually really funny. She's very funny.
She she
She
she
makes a
takes her
lot of
job
good jokes.
She
Yeah,
takes her
yeah,
job super, super seriously, man. I was like, "Oh, okay, make
yeah.
sure no more nothing in my pockets and not
Yeah.
my thing is see through, like all that. Like I don't like get on
Like
her bad
coming naked
side."
already, yeah. Yeah, that's when they started the clear bag policy, and
Mm,
then
mm.
it kinda changed a lot of things. People were getting angry. I think the first year they did that clear bag policy, I was working the front, and I was like, "Oh," there's a lot of bad vibes going around, but it's okay. It
I mean, at
happens, you know?
end of the day, it's for safety, right? I get it. People need to
Yeah.
understand. It's just about safety.
I think something happened earlier, so that's why they started doing that clear bag policy, for safety, like you said.
Right,
Yeah,
right, right.
I know.
So, so speaking of Naga, so have you ever competed in your jujitsu journey?
Uh, I have not. I've always worked Naga in that sense. I was thinking of going Worlds, but one thing about me is I get obsessed with things, and that's a big part I have to manage with my life. I get completely obsessed with my time, and I always thought that if I did compete in that sense, I'll put a lot of my time into training, overtraining, taking care of this. And I do a lot of other things other than just jujitsu, I'm a teacher. I have to watch over my kids. I come home and I don't wanna I know me. I'll make everything not really not really balanced the way it should be, and it would take a lot of part of my life. And I'm not one to like, oh, I need to compete to do this. I love jujitsu. Definitely I love jujitsu, but I I do know where it goes in my life. It's a hobby. It's not something I'm gonna go ahead and trying to win worlds. If I did that, I'll move to, Newport and join AOJ in that sense. But I'm here. My goal is to spread love. I'm a big Christian. So my goal here in life is to spread, Jesus Christ to everybody and the love to whether it's
Amen.
through jiu-jitsu, with teaching, or anybody even talking to you. And that's my whole goal. Not so much to go into this jiu-jitsu journey to be this champion, which is I'm sure it would be cool, but that's just not my journey. It's not for me. Maybe for other people. And I know me, if I start doing that, it would throw things out of whack. And the real purpose I'm here in the world, I'll be I know me. I'm already have to slow this jujitsu thing down because I watch it too much. I practice it too much. I gotta put it where it's at, and make sure I don't overdo it. I still am a dad. I still got my work. I still have my other responsibilities I want to do in my journey in this path. And I don't want jujitsu to become more than what it is.
Mm,
That's kind of
mm.
how I manage it, you know.
That's very well
Not to
put.
put
That's very
anybody
well put.
down who does all those things. Definitely not. That's their journey, but that's not my journey.
Because you're
Yeah.
right. I mean, everybody has a different situation, right? If you're a single 25-year-old guy with you know, all the free time in the world, you could do this like multiple times. Someone like Kawhi. Kawhi's 19 years old. He can train multiple times a day.
Yeah.
He can invest all that time, right? He doesn't have a wife and kids, a mortgage, car payments, right? He doesn't have all of that
Yes.
kind of stuff. So his path is very different. But at some point, there's a likelihood that he'll be a 50-year-old dad that has to
Yeah.
balance his jujitsu with his the rest of his life. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Uh,
100%.
I gotta say that, there was a brief time, I think it was just before your youngest daughter was born. You came to the night classes for maybe about a month or somewhere around that point, maybe a couple of months. And that was like, those are some of the best times for me, right? Like I actually, like, I super appreciated, like you would work with me and you'd bust me up, but you would teach me a lot of stuff that, I mean, I'll never forget those times. They were super good times for me, bro. I mean, kind of jealously, I wish your daughter was born like a couple months later so we could have spent more time together. But I know the baby was coming. But yeah, I mean, I never told you, but I really appreciated those times that we were able to train together. That was like something I'll never
Oh,
forget. I
yeah.
can't remember the exact roles, like the grips, like you can, but I
Yeah.
can still remember those times, bro. Those are really good times, man. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, I was coming. Yeah, yeah, you probably don't even notice about me, but I was coming. I was coming back to jujitsu. I had to take a tiny break off during COVID. I had a big health scare. It kind of changed my life to me. And when I was rolling with you during that time, I didn't know, but I was recovering from it, from my big health scare. And then at that point, I was slowly getting back into jujitsu, you know, and maybe I'll go into the to what happened was it was during COVID, and maybe it's a good lesson I can tell my story to other people. Maybe they can take this to help them in their lives. I was training my brother's house, and during that time in COVID, we're training in all garages. You know, we didn't want to stop training. And I was training my
Right.
friend Rod's house in Eva. I was training little Dave's house in Waipio. My friend, one of my good friends, Dane. I was training his house. I was going to all these houses to train just to keep up. And I didn't want to stop, you know.
Mm.
Then I would train at my brother's too. He would call me over because he has mats, so I train over there. And I was training one night. Uh, he seemed like he was out of shape. I was talking trash to him and everything. I was like, "Whoa, you're out of shape. What's wrong with you?" And this and that. But then after we're done training, I went to back to the car. Then immediately I felt complete sweat down coming my head. I felt pain in my chest. And I was having a hard time. I was inside the car outside of his house, maybe about 2 houses down, I was parked. Then all of a sudden, I felt major, like, tiredness, sweat was coming out, and major pain in my chest. I didn't know what was going on. So I was looking in my bag. I thought, because I had one of my injuries is I had a herniated disc. That's one of my injuries I had back in the day. So I was like, oh gosh, I think it's a herniated disc that's going on. So I was looking in my bag to maybe get water and everything. And it's kind of a miracle of God because about 3 months before I lost, Tylenol no, aspirin. I lost aspirin that we used to have, and just so happened that gym bag was I was grabbing different gym bags to go to people's houses. I grabbed it and I heard it, so I picked up the aspirin and I started, "Oh, aspirin." And I was thinking, "Holy shit, I wonder if I'm having a heart attack." Holy crap. I didn't know, but I do remember my one of my mentors back in Wailu Elementary, Auntie Carol, she says, if you ever feel like this, start popping in aspirins dry. And that's what I did. I started popping all these aspirins. I don't even know how many you're supposed to take, but I just kept on taking them. And I took it and I called my wife. I go, bro, you gotta pick me up. Something's wrong. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I'm dying or what. Take me to the hospital. And you know, funny story. I didn't want to tell my brother, even though my brother was like up right in the house. 'Cause I thinking I just kicked his ass for the last 2 hours. I don't want him to come back think I was injured, and that's the true story. You know, we always laugh about that. He didn't call him because after this whole situation, he said, "Why didn't you just call me?" You know, I was like, "Nah." So I called my wife to come up, pick me up, and she rushed me to the emergency room in Kaiser Hospital, Mauna Loa, from Milani Malka. Then when I got there, it was almost like a scene of Grey's Anatomy in the ER. They immediately recognized what was going on, and they just started nurses and doctors are coming there, and they put me on a gurney. I was rushed into, and they giving me pills and taking all these tests and asking me questions. And during that whole time, I had a huge pain in my chest. I was going down. I kept on sweating. I couldn't think. It looked like I was about to faint. But you know, it's just like jujitsu. You develop so much pain. You just keep on going. It felt as though when you do stack, somebody stacked past you and they just holding it on you the whole time. No, I know I can handle that. So I was like, oh, it's not as bad as not as bad as not as bad as my herniated disc. But I was like, boy, this is pretty painful. Then it got real when everybody had masks. It was during COVID. I didn't know who they were. There's all these nurses, and they kept on asking me the same question. What happened? What's your name? And I would say the same thing. And then the next nurse come in. What happened? What's your name? Then they give me papers I have to sign. I even know what I was signing. They giving me pills. They taking my blood. They doing all these things. And throughout the whole process, I was thinking, where's the other patients? You guys know more other patients you gotta work with. But there's so many people in that room working on me. And it got real. I didn't know what was going on. I kind of knew, but I didn't know. It got real when this big Hawaiian nurse, maybe if he sees this, thank you. He started putting shock pads on my chest. He opened my shirt up and he put shock pads on my chest. And I told him, Brada, why are you doing this? And he told me, Brada, you don't know the way it's going right now, the where your numbers are. it might just happen. So we're gonna have to leave this on your chest. And at that point, I knew I was having a heart attack. I was like,
Oh,
holy shit. So this happened fast. I got to the hospital. Boom, 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 boom. Then within 30 minutes, they put me up in the emergency room and I was into surgery. I don't know how they got that. And this was like maybe at 9 o'clock at night, 9 p.m.
wow.
I was in surgery and I had a heart attack. My RCA or rear coronary artery was blocked 100%. And I was into a heart attack at that point. And this was 5.5 going to my anniversary would be about 6 years ago, December 5th.
Wow.
And I was having a heart attack and they had to put me surgery, immediate surgery. So when I was getting started, I wasn't a good patient. I was like, what are you doing? Get me off of this. I like go home. So they actually literally strapped me down. So I couldn't move, and they had to, in order for them to put they're going to go put a stent and they have to put a lead into it to open it up and put a stent. And I was like, "What are you guys doing?" I thought they're gonna put it down my groin, but they ended up putting it down my wrist. And I knew it was serious when the doctor, when he was putting it in my wrist, and he was just going fast like a fishing line. He wasn't going slow; he was going fast. I was like, "Oh crap, this is happening!" And I felt more and more pain as I was going on. And they kept on asking me, "What's your pain level, Rob? What's your pain level?" And I was being honest. I was like, okay, 6. And as they're doing, I was like, it was going higher and higher. I was like 7.5, 8, 9. Then they went to when I said 9.5, it felt like it was done or I was gonna die. And that's when I talked to God. I'm a strong Christian. And I prayed at that time. This is like the miracle of miracles. I prayed and I actually yelled at God. I don't know if I even said it out loud. I might have said it like I couldn't breathe or whatever under my breath. But I prayed and I was really angry and I told God, I was like, what? I told him, I don't, this is just me, I guess. I told him, what a waste. You're killing me now. Because I was trying to stay alive dude this whole time. I was just like, oh, I can't handle, I can't handle, I can't handle nothing. But then it got to when it was 9.5. I just kind of tapped. I was about to tap. I got angry at God and I said, you know what? I give up already. You like kill me. Go ahead. I go now. I give up. I'm gonna die. I don't care. And I told him, what a waste. You wasting my life. I could do so much to help out other people and help out kids and to help them to whatever it need to be. And funny thing, Robin, right when I would yell at him, the stint went in. And then they asked me, what's your pain level? And the pain went away. It was like, oh,
Wow.
7,
Wow.
6,
Wow.
5. And then while he's doing it, there's a big screen over here, and you can see my heart, and he's following it. It's like a big screen. You can watch my heart, and he's shoving in, and that's when the stint went in, and the blood went in, and the pain went away. And that's kind of how it's kind of weird. Once the stint went in, the pain immediately went from 9.5 all the way to 0. And I told him, nothing. I'm good. Pain went away. Then they unstrap me. They start putting the thing on my artery to make sure it doesn't bleed out, and they put it real tight and telling me this.
Wow.
And funny things, I, I'm in the emergency room bed. I go, I need my phone. I gotta talk to my wife. I didn't know my wife was in the parking lot crying the whole time. And I was kind of trippy. I was like, oh, somebody's crying for me, but she was in the parking lot crying with my sister, and I called her and I said, "Oh, I think I just had a heart attack and I paused surgery." And then I told her, "You know what?" And I'm such a teacher. I said, "I need help. I gotta call in." I go, call my stuff in. I gotta do lessons. Bring my computer. I gotta get my lesson plan. I won't be able to come tomorrow. But I think this is like a Sunday. I won't be able to come tomorrow. Call in. And I was trying to make sure that I have coverage with my lesson plans on the right when I got done with the surgery and emergency room. Because I knew I had to
Wow.
get that done. I was like, oh, I guess I lived. I better get I better get my lesson plans done because I won't be able to come to work. So that's kind of like the miracle. There's two miracles that happened that I realized. The first one was the pills, the aspirin. Because after this, I had to stay in. I had to stay in ICU for quite a while after this heart attack. And the doctors kept on coming up to me and they kept on saying, "Oh, you're the guy. You're the guy that it happened to." And I was like, "What do you mean I'm the guy?" They said, "You're the guy who did it correctly." I didn't know what they meant. I was asking, "What do you mean?" And he says, "You're the guy, if you have a heart attack or something, who popped in the aspirins." I didn't realize that those aspirins they're telling me saved my life
Wow.
from that ride, the 40 minutes that it gave the duration for like 30,
Wow.
40 minutes for me to get to the hospital. Because if not, I would have died in the car. But it gave me that 40 minutes to go to the
Wow.
hospital to what do you call it? To get to the emergency care that I needed. So that aspirin that was in the bag that we lost, I don't know how it got there, but I was popping all these pills and you have to eat it dry. So that helped. And that's what they're telling me. That's the proper procedure to help give that, I guess, that extra time frame so you can get the help that you need. So like in my family, like at that
Wow.
after that, everybody was putting like aspirins or like in their car, in their bag and everything after this incident. And then I think the second miracle of it all is when I kind of yelled at God. And then right at that point when I was yelling, it opened up and then I was able to breathe. So when I saw you, I was actually you changed me a lot from me in jiu-jitsu, me teaching, me just as a regular person. I take things a
Mhm.
lot differently. I enjoy life. People always say stuff like you don't live your full day to the fullest. I really believe that. I know it sounds corny, but I do believe that's why you see my Facebook page. I go to Disneyland a lot with my daughter, sometimes 4 times a year, 5 times a year. And I do that because you never know. Because before this, I thought my timeline was, I'm going to do all this. I stay healthy. I'm a vegetarian. I have gout, so I don't eat any meat or anything. I'm a vegetarian. I try to I do a lot of exercise. I'm a gym rat. And then this happened because this is my genetics.
Mhm.
It's my family genes has this problem. So, and I thought, my timeline was long. I thought I was going to live a long life, whatever it may be. But how did I know that this would happen when I was like in my 40s, my early 40s? So
Wow.
in that emergency in the ICU, I was the youngest guy who experienced that happened. And the doctors were telling me that 77% of people who have heart attacks is usually from genetics. So I was like, oh, okay. But for me, it happened to me at such a young age. And it really changed me in the way I thought. So when I was rolling with you, I was a completely different person. Still to this day, I'm a completely different person. Every day I wake up, looking for joy to help out. If somebody would say, let's roll, talk story, I rather talk story to build a personal relationship, hang out, to get to know you better instead of to roll. I rather go help out other people. I realize that he wants me in this world, so I'm gonna keep on doing what I'm supposed to do my best to make a difference in kids' life that I teach at. I'm a fifth grade teacher at Wailu Elementary, and that's my whole journey to make sure I help out these kids to help them to make sure that they're ready for the world. They're show them Jesus Christ's love to them at any point. I can't say Jesus Christ in the classroom, but I can definitely show them the love by actions. In that sense. I do that with jiu-jitsu. I do that with teaching, just my everyday life. And that really changed me a lot, and then maybe in a sense it's good. I died to something, came up better. But yeah, it was such, and after I got the stint, I could breathe. I was like, whoa, smokes, I got so much energy now, so much blood. And I was supposed to stay out initially from any physical activity with like 3 weeks because they didn't want the stint to move. 3 weeks to a month. They didn't want the stint to move with jiu-jitsu. But one of my coworkers, my friend Dustin, he's a counselor at our school. He called me up. He said, "Hey, Rob, I want to work on rolling and I want to turn this." I think I introduced you to him. And I said, "Hey," he asked me if he wanted to train. I was like, I knew I'm not supposed to be training, but I was like, yeah, why not? It was like 3 days after I got discharged from the
God.
hospital.
Oh
I was
my
like, yeah, why
gosh.
not? Let's do this. So I went back and, I didn't roll hard, but
Mm,
I
mm.
was still maintaining, doing everything, but I went back to the jujitsu mat a little bit too early, but still it was fine. I was like, I'm not going to go hard. It's, go with the flow. But he didn't know. I didn't want to tell anybody this story. I didn't want to tell anybody about what happened. I was kind of ashamed. I was ashamed that I think I was ashamed because I try to take care of my body so much and try to keep healthy. I work out a lot, and then for that to happen, it's like, oh, maybe it shows a sign of weakness. But little did I know throughout this whole time, especially during the heart attack, my sister, my friends were texting each other. They're texting, the church, they're texting other people to pray for me, pray for me, pray for me, pray for me. And then it kind of got out. And then it got out at school, it got out at jiu-jitsu that, oh, Rob had this heart attack. He was the one who had this. People still bring it up here and there. The story, it happened so long ago, that it kind of phased out. But it helped me to understand this journey, especially how jiu-jitsu works in terms of giving love to other people in this sense. Not just going over there, I'm over there to kill everybody, make sure this. I don't have that mindset one bit. I want to get better, but we're gonna get better in a way of making sure that everybody's safe for one thing, nobody hurt nobody, making sure we're all learning. There's no bad vibes, nobody trying to fight or gossip. I don't vibe that. It's not what it's about. So it definitely changed my life and so many great things that happened from there. I talked to other people who have heart conditions. I talked to my friend Joe who had 3 stints, and I talked to
Oh,
other people about who have high blood pressure, and that's why you probably see me at the gym. I do a lot of cardio. I try to keep it about 300 minutes of cardio every week. And that just helps me get my blood pressure to be somewhat normal. And if I don't do that, my blood pressure rises and then they're going to put me on more meds. And I don't want that. I
mm,
want to keep them.
mm.
I'm on meds already. I remember you told me you're on cholesterol pills. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm on cholesterol too. And they put me on all these pills and I don't want to do more pills. So in order to manage that, I clock it out every time. I try to get 300 minutes of cardio every week. So a lot of times people say, "Oh, you keep on doing cardio." And not like I want to do it, but I do want to
Mm,
do it, but not to that extent. But I do it because it
right.
helps my blood pressure. And it helps me give good cardio in jiu-jitsu, but that's kind of the journey that I have to do, and that's what I gotta do, so I do it. So if you go to any gym, if I'm at Milan, you just see me there at times I'm doing like 45 minutes to 1 hour of cardio that day, sometimes an hour and a half of cardio for one day, just to minus the 300 minutes that I have to hit every week. When I was doing like 150 minutes, it wasn't really making a difference. So when I don't know where I found it online, but it said to pop in 300. How to give me that number? I found it somewhere, but that works. It helps keeps my numbers down, and it's such a crazy experience. And that's one thing I mentioned earlier about jujitsu. You go through all these different series of life or seasons of life, and can you keep up this jujitsu journey? Sometimes people quit, and I can understand why things happen. They have maybe a job or injuries or some crazy event like mine or whatever it may be. But, how do you manage doing this jujitsu and keep the love for it and doing it daily or every other day or whatever you do? But that was so I'm back. That time that I was rolling you, I was just coming back. Yeah, to jujitsu.
Yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
really tell. You're busting me up, so I
Yeah,
can only
yeah,
imagine if you're 100%, I would have just got even more bust up. But yeah, back to your story, right? So, you know, um, you're kept on this earth for a reason, and I'm glad that it has altered your perspective on what's important and how we are just humans. At some point, our numbers is up, and we're gonna be gone. So, as much impact we can have on our family and friends and even strangers, that's what we're here for, right? And also, I think the power of prayer, right? So you prayed, and guarantee your wife prayed, and everybody was praying for you, right? If I had known, I would have been praying for you too, right? That's how our network of prayer warriors, you call them, work, right? We care for each other in those challenging times, bro. Yeah,
yeah.
wow.
It just made it all real. Sometimes, I pray and like, I was even listening. You have that questions, but when certain things like this happen, like, oh, he really was listening. Yeah. Or this really did happen. And you can't really like debate, okay, was it a coincidence or like, okay,
Yeah.
this was a clear sign or a clear indication of. So I look at it as I'm here. That's why every December 5th, we celebrate. I try to celebrate. I do something special. It's like I'm here to help, I'm here to love, I'm here to care, I'm here to do my best to show everybody the love of Jesus that I can. And that's my whole goal with everything. I could care less if I get this materialistic thing or whatever it be. It really doesn't matter because, your timeline is so short. It really is. It
Really
happens
is.
just like that. And you don't know. You don't know when it could happen. And you can't be cocky about it either. And that's why sometimes waking up being mad about certain things or angry and just, hey, I'm this, you don't know. You have no idea that maybe this could be, the last time you may ever see this person or last time you may be even around or whatever it may be.
Right.
And you have to really, it makes it real when it happens to you. Like everybody thinks
Right.
it, but until it like happened to me, then I was like, holy crap. This is real when people say live your life to the fullest. Don't take small things and make it big. So when those things happen, I really changed my life. And that I think I was forced to, in that sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that aspirin bottle wasn't there by chance, bro.
Yeah,
It
yeah, I
wasn't by
know.
luck.
Crazy,
It
yeah.
was not there by luck, bro. It was God's will,
Uh,
and He just helped you along. And
Crazy.
if it was some little thing like you nicked your toe, probably wouldn't have a big impact. But something of that magnitude, yeah, it's gonna stick, bro. And He saw something that needed to get changed, and that's where it
Yeah.
was, man. He went through that
Funny
season.
thing, my brother, he won't let me train at his house no more. He said, I think he told me he never liked the guilt or something. I never went back. I don't know. He never wanted me training with his friends either, so I never went. Well, whatever. He's been
That's
coming
funny.
on once in a while. He came like twice on Friday mornings in Milan. He trained with us. So that was nice. I got to roll with him back then. And it's funny, it's just like, I'm not usually a trash talker, but when it's like your sibling. I gotta stop. I say so much stuff that he's probably thinking, "Shut up."
That's funny. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But he
the
came. He been
siblings.
coming in there. He won't let me go back to his house again. So whatever. I, I don't know. Maybe I'll be afraid to go back. I don't know. But so that's kind of the jiu-jitsu journey that I have, and as long as I keep on
Awesome.
going, I'm gonna keep on doing it. Yeah.
That's super awesome. That's so awesome, bro. So you're a teacher, right? Over at
Yes.
Wailo Elementary. How long have you
Yes.
been teaching?
But there was 26 years. So I initially started I was in Las Vegas. I lived in Las Vegas for a bit and I taught there about 2 years. Then that's a miracle for me coming home too. I was able to meet a whole bunch of Wailua teachers when I was teaching this math program in Vegas. And what they did was they did a certain math program that it's called investigations that Hawaii wanted to bring over. They wanted to bring that to Hawaii. So they came to my school to watch me, observe me teaching this math program. And just so happened it was the teachers of Wailua. And after I got done teaching, they're like, hey, do you want to come to Wailua and teach with us? And I was like, you know what? I wanted to come home. And I haven't been home for a while. I want to come home. Vegas was good, but I was kind of being a little bit too naughty up there. And I needed to come home. So they made it a way, they pulled so much strings for me to get back and I was able to come back and I've been teaching at Wailu Elementary since 2002. So I started teaching at 2000. Yeah. So I've been watching kids, helping with kids. Even before that, like 1995, I started watching kids with YMCA. I was a summer camp leader. I do a lot of different things with kids. Um, I was teaching at Vegas and I taught at Wailua all the way to 2026. I've been teaching primarily fifth grade the whole time. But I'm part of this program is maybe a good give it a good plug, but it's called Camp Agape. I don't know if you heard about that. But my wife got me into it. And it's a camp for kids who have parents that are incarcerated. And what they do is they take the kids down to a camp and for 3 to 4 days, we watch these kids and to help them, to show the love of Christ to them, to show them all the different things. So when kids have parents that are incarcerated, the the risk for them being incarcerated increases. So by doing by doing this and helping to show them Christ and helping them show love, maybe you can reduce the risk of them going to jail also. So I've been doing that here and there. My wife got me into it for I think it's about 10 years ago, she got me into it, and I've been doing it ever since. Except for COVID, it stopped. But I've been doing that every once in a while. I'll do that to help out kids who have parents who are incarcerated. I helped out with Special Olympics coaching. I did that for a little bit. That was kind of fun. I wasn't really good. I got too serious. I was a little basketball guy. I got too serious with this thing. I was like yelling at the refs and everything. At the basketball, I was like, "Whoa, I better stop." Yeah, but that was different. Yeah, I was a Special Olympics coach for a little bit. Yeah, so I do a lot of different things to help out kids, and that's kind of my journey, my path that God set me for, to
That's
help out
awesome.
kids. That's why I'm
That's
here. That I
that's so
believe.
awesome.
Yeah.
You know, you got to live a dream that I had dreamed fantasized about before. You got to do jujitsu with your boss.
Which which boss? I had plenty bosses.
Scott?
That guy. Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's so funny, isn't it, huh? No,
It's
we
so
we used to
ironic.
butt my former principal, his name is Scott Moore. We used to butt heads here and there with certain things, but he it was funny, he started this jujitsu journey. It's like different roles reversed, like I had to like listen to him. Then now, like, I'm a little bit higher than him in a belt. Like, listen to me kind of thing. Yeah, but he did it at a late age, and I'm proud of him. He's still doing it. He's still going at it.
Hey,
Yeah.
he competed last year in Masters, right? He
Yes.
went up and he's a sign up for Honolulu Open again. So he's an active competitor. My hat's off. I hate to say he's an old guy because we're the same age,
Yeah.
but he's
Yeah.
still going. He's still going strong. I mean, I respect people like at our age in the 60s that are still competing, are still training. So hats
But he's
off
a
to him.
tough guy. He's a tough guy. He taught in Waianae for 10 years. And at high school, why not high school? Anybody doing? He was like a haole from the mainland. Anytime you do that and you teach in wine, you're a saint, to do all those kinds of things and to stay there. And he stayed. He didn't like take his couple years and leave. He stayed there and he put himself, into the community or whatever it may be. And he survived. So bless his heart, you know.
Yeah, and no
He-
question, when you see the guy, you know the guy's a haole guy, not like one kind of semi, could be like part local. He's like haole. And if he can survive 10 years out there, bless his heart, bro. Those kids out there, they should appreciate that somebody would put their time behind that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't see him as much anymore. Like maybe in a belt promotion or belt testing, I would see him. So it's nice to catch up, to say hi, to see how he's doing. I try to talk to him about school, and I can tell he's been retired for quite a while. He's like, he's done. He's kind of in this new journey and new season. Before I talked to him about school, we had some about education and curriculum and stuff. He's really interested. But now when I mention those things, it's almost as though it's like he's not interested anymore about it. So, it's like, yeah, yeah. But it's nice to see that he keeps on doing it. I did get to roll with him when he first started, even when he was a blue belt. I think he's blue belt now still too. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
yet. Yeah, and it was nice, giving him all this advice and telling him, oh, you got to do this. And 'cause he
No
never
lie,
used to listen to me.
you
Let me
no
tell
lie,
you,
you
he
went a
never
little bit
used to
extra
listen
hard. You
to me.
remember that time you never like approve my stuff, bro? I'll give you one of these now.
Nah, I never did that, but he never used to listen to me. I think a couple of the meetings, my coworkers could tell you that he used to get mad at me because I used to kind of make trouble in his meetings. But he never took anything into my consideration that I told him to do. And he knows it too. I had all these ideas, like we should do this for education. He was like, maybe not. But bless his heart, he was right. He did help out Wailu Elementary in a tremendous way. He brought us to 2 Blue Ribbon Awards. He was a really good principal. And if he sees this video, let him know he did a wonderful job as a principal. He kind of did things his own way. He went against the grain, but it worked. And I always told him, I'll give you credit. All the stuff that we used to argue about, you were actually right. And I think one time he told me, "Yeah, I know I was right." Like he's cocky. He's so cocky about this. He's a good guy. It's just different now. He's not into education. It's not like we're
Mm,
debating or anything
mm.
more. He's not. It's about jujitsu. I think that's all he does now, huh? That's all he does is just
Probably. Yeah.
jujitsu. Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Good for
Ah,
him. Good for him.
he's actually a really funny guy. If you ever sit down and talk to him, he's a very sarcastic. He's a very funny personality. He has a lot of good jokes. Yeah.
All right, Rob, we've been at this for a little over an hour now, so I'm gonna shoot down to my rapid fire quick questions to you. Okay,
Oh
so
yeah, no
best
worries.
one answer kind of stuff. Well, one word, couple word answer. Okay, so favorite guard,
Butterfly,
favorite submission,
cross color or bow and arrow.
takedown or guard pull,
It matters what the guy's like. If the Division 1 wrestler guard pull, yeah.
favorite gi color,
Oh, black, hundred
black,
percent.
black, gi or no gi,
He.
gi, favorite training partner,
Oh, one of my best friends, Jeff Chong.
Jeff Chong. I know him,
Yeah.
stand up guy. I like Jeff. Have you ever had to use your training outside of the gym in a self-defense type situation?
Um. mm, Not really. I think maybe more my mind. I I had to break up a couple fights or anything, but I went in there with the mindset. I was very comfortable and confident. Maybe I didn't have to do any moves, but I didn't walk away. That's for sure. Just because I'm not afraid,
Mm.
I'm not like, oh, I don't know how to handle myself. So maybe that helps. Yeah.
Best training advice you ever received?
Best training advice? Well, that's a good one. Oh, best training advice that I received. Gosh.
Or maybe that you've given somebody, that you think you've given somebody?
Put your family first. Put your family first.
Favorite post-training meal?
Ah, oh gosh. I I don't even know. I keep on running and grabbing stuff. I usually just grab a peanut butter jelly sandwich and just run out and do that. Yeah. I always start running. I don't like prep meals and stuff like that. I just grab something. I grab an apple when I run. That's my lunch.
Right.
I'll grab a couple oranges or grab a loaf of bread, and that's my lunch for the day. I'll just eat that. Yeah.
So I know the answer to this question, so I'm gonna ask it, but I wanna ask why it is, okay? Favorite sports team?
Oh, I love the Detroit Lions, and when I was a younger kid, I was able to meet Barry Sanders. That was my
Ooh,
idol growing up, and
ooh.
so I got to meet him. And he got to stand next to him. I got his signature the whole bit. I was like, "Oh shoot, I'm taller than
Wow.
him." I didn't think I was taller
Wow.
than him
Wow.
because they listed him at a 5'9", 5'8" in the program, and I'm not 5'9" and 5'8". And I was like, "Oh gosh, I'm taller than him." He's definitely my idol, and that's how I got to love Detroit Lions. So even as a kid, I was always wearing number 20 as my number. That was my number all the way as a kid because of Barry Sanders. I always wanted to be him, and just his humbleness of everything and his calmness, and just for his love and the passion for the game. Especially because when you get to see and you get to see your meet your idol, you're like, oh, and that's the reason why I love Detroit Lions. And next thing, but stuff there's a whole. Let me tell you how many years we were so bad. How many years, couple years, couple years we like not we didn't win one game. We had all these bad coaches, bad. I mean, drafted all these receivers. It was such a bad time. And there's not many Detroit Lion fans on this island, and the ones I know from the early 1989s to 1990s that I met, they're still around, which is nice. I know who they are, and that's nice to know. I went in fact this past December I went to a Detroit Lions and Rams game
Wow.
at SoFi
Wow.
Stadium in LA. Yeah, we lost that game, but it was nice to see, live and the whole bit.
At least they're
Yeah,
back
but
in
that's like
relevance. They're back in relevance though. At least I mean they're doing pretty good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I get all emotional, but I gotta be careful. You come on my house, you probably hear if the game is on, you probably hear yelling or whatever. Always. They had
Oh,
some questionable calls back then, especially when they played Dallas. They had all these questionable calls and all this. Oh, I would lose it, but I get a little bit too emotional. Kind of like UH football. So I got like three teams that I follow, like Milani High School, because I played from football for Milani High School. I also follow UH, because as a kid, I only went to all UH football games, and I went to University of Hawaii as my college, and Detroit Lions. And one year, like Milani High School was like didn't win one game. Detroit Lions didn't win in like one or two games, and UH didn't win any game either. I was like, all my teams suck, but I still
that's
support
funny.
them. They have a
Yeah,
heart, and that's probably why it was like, "Oh, how'd you become a Detroit Lions fan?" That's how it happened.
that's
I've
awesome.
never
You,
steered away.
I gotta say that Barry Sanders had the most exciting 3 yard runs ever, right? I mean, he was on mediocre teams at best, but he just was a one man gang, bro. I love that guy. He was
That's
super
what I'm
exciting to
telling you.
watch. He was
I used to
definitely
argue with my Dallas Cowboy fans. They would say, "Oh, Emmett Smith, this, Emmett Smith, that."
not
No, no.
not even close. And didn't okay, so maybe my memory banks are confused, but didn't Barry Sanders retire earlier? And I thought I saw something like he didn't
Yeah.
want to break someone else's record. Is that am I
That's not true. He did.
misrecalling that?
Well, he wasn't into records for one thing, but he didn't retire because of that. He lost the passion. He didn't think the organization had a passion for winning. So he retired early. He could have kept on going, but he retired early. Like the Detroit Lions have two of the greatest players, but they both retired early. We had Megatron, Calvin Johnson, and he retired early at 30. One of the greatest receivers there is. And then Barry Sanders retired early too, you know. But yeah, it is what it is. But we're kind of doing well now. I was thinking about
Yeah.
going to this next Arizona. They play in Arizona. So my wife's from Arizona. So I was thinking about
Ah,
going in October 11th. They go to Arizona to play. The Lions will be there. I was thinking of going, but I'm not sure. It's like I didn't realize how much a NFL game is like a production. It's like, yeah, it's not. There's not much passion in like going to a UH football game versus BYU in the 80s, when I was young. It's a lot of it's about money, and I didn't care for that. Yeah, I didn't really. It was all about money maybe it was just a Rams game, but everything was about money. And I didn't really, they're sitting like, how when they have the guys selling popcorn going up and down,
right.
they're selling like, I don't know, they're doing like lottery tickets going up and down the thing. I was like, lottery tickets. And they wouldn't even show the replay. I had to go on my phone and watch the replay on YouTube.
Oh
They would
my.
show advertisements throughout the whole time. I didn't really care for it. Everything was about money. I don't know.
Mm,
So
mm,
it's a bit
mm.
different. There's not much passion for football, I guess, when you get to the NFL watching a game. Maybe you'll probably see it if you see some rivalry. Back in the day, we watched UH versus, Boise State, for you see all that passion, or even going to a Kahuku St. Louis game for the ILH championship. Being in the Red Sea and they're going like this, you feel that. You don't feel that too
Yeah.
much when you go to a NFL game. I didn't care
It's
for
too
that.
it's too commercialized already. It's all about money.
Yeah, it's
It's
hell of
pretty sad.
expensive too. Yeah, it's expensive.
Sad. Sad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I get them on
All right.
TV. We get YouTube
Yeah.
TV. We watch them over there on TV. We make our own excitement at the house.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been to an NFL game and probably never will be. I mean, I'm a Raiders fan like from like the 70s and
Oh, nice.
we've had some very bad years. Like we've been bad for a long time. Every season before every preseason like, okay, this is the season. We get hope. Maybe we can win half our games. And then after
Oh,
the
then
first
you
few
guys got
games like
Fernando Mendoza now.
so we
Hey.
got Mendoza. We got supposedly a strong coach. We've got a strong coach with good game planning and all
Kubiak,
that. So
yeah.
I'll keep my fingers crossed. I got my my hopes up so high so many times that I just said, all right, whatever. We'll see. After maybe like 4 or 5 games, then I'll get excited. I mean, I'll still cheer, but I won't get my hopes up high till okay, we're kind of a little bit into the season.
I think this guy is good, the quarterback. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just biased about Christians. but I always see him praying before the game, shouting out God, and I love that about him. And I don't know. I think he's gonna do well. I really do. I
I'm
think this is a
hoping
good
as well.
quarterback.
I'm hoping as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Keep
yeah.
my fingers crossed.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Rob. I mean, I appreciate this time. I want to give you a chance to give your shout outs to whoever you want.
Oh, my shout outs? Just a shout out for jiu-jitsu or just
Anybody and everybody.
oh, okay. I probably have to first shout out my wife and say thank you to her. Her name is Yvette. I really gotta thank her. She deals with the back end of all this. Since it's a jiu-jitsu podcast, she deals into all the back end of jiu-jitsu. My injuries, she's there. She's the one who took me to the hospital. A couple times she had to take me for my injuries of jiu-jitsu. She's the one who supports having a whole big jiu-jitsu mat in the living room. I actually wanted to cover the whole living room with mats, but I got about 3/4 of the mats. The jiu-jitsu doll lies there. Um, she supports my journey and what I'm doing instead of saying, "Why are you going to gym? You know, watch this." She supports it, so I have to really thank her for that, and I'll give a shout out to her. I don't think it would be the way it's gone without her. I think I also want to the second shout out is all the guys that I train with in the morning. They're such wonderful people. We meet all these wonderful people every year. Sometimes they have to leave because they move, whatever it may be. But we get to meet all these wonderful guys. They even came up with a name. They call them this 5 a.m. morning crew, and which is nice. They have an app and where they going. And I think one point Todd made some stickers and we had a whole bunch of things. And it's like, oh, we're a team, whatever it be. Just guys who train in the morning. So I always shout out them for all those times and all my good friends who call me up to train. Jeff calls me up. My friend Dane still calls me up. In fact, I'm supposed to go back to his house and he's still training in his garage. All these guys who keep the dream of training alive. And that's really nice to. And because not only that you're training, you're talking about other things and you're becoming really good close friends. You become like your best friends. I see some of these guys more than I see even my other siblings, my cousins. They become really close people to you. And that's important. And that's really important. So I shout out the 5 a.m. crew. It's a jiu-jitsu podcast. Send them my love.
All right, bro. Appreciate again you taking time out to talk to me today. Much love to you and your family and the 5 a.m. guys that hopefully one day I can go see them. Hopefully I see you before the next Naga, but at least I know
Yeah.
I'll go see you at Naga.
And
All
they're gonna
right,
have more
bro.
Nagas next year too. I think
That's
they're
what
gonna
I
have
heard.
more.
They're gonna have,
Yeah.
I thought I heard them announcing three, yeah? Three times?
That's what they've been saying. I'm not sure how official that is, but that's what they're saying
Be-
they'll do.
because the interesting thing is I saw that they have a sponsor now. Like at least from the stickers and the patches that they put
Oh
out,
yeah.
they look like they're somehow tied to somebody. So I thought that was kind of
Oh,
interesting. But
and they're good
we'll see.
people. They're really nice people. They're really nice people. When I first started working, I was like, well, I was kind of scared. I was scared of everything. Oh, he's yelling, this and that. But they're really good people. I've been doing it quite a while. Whenever they come to Hawaii, I've been with them. But they're really nice people. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Rob. You take care, my
Hey,
brother. Everybody from Small Man Jiu Jitsu. We catch you on the next one. Us.
hey, take care. Aloha.